have a wonderful leader in the White House. We have control of the Congress and the Senate. We are seeing changes all across the country and states right now on election laws. And what I will say is that the RNC has not stopped since President Trump's victory. A little bit of a background. Last election cycle, I served as the National Field and Election Day Operations Director for President Trump. So those of you that were on this call last year when I was on, I was talking about the Trump Force 47 program and what we were doing for election integrity at the RNC in conjunction with the Trump campaign. Last election cycle, to give everyone context, we had 150 staff deployed across 18 states for President Trump's election integrity program. We recruited over 230,000 volunteers, 6,000 attorneys who helped us on election day and throughout early voting. And for all of our target counties and municipalities, for the first time ever, the RNC was able to get 100% coverage, or up to, I think it was 99% was our smallest one. But we had the best coverage we've ever had in any election cycle. And then we also launched a data department for the very first time that was solely focused on dealing with election data and a number of different issues that would arise for election integrity matters. To give everyone some insight, what that department has done from last election till now, which is something that the RNC is currently looking into, is we identified 6,000 voters who had been registered in different states and had voted twice. There's a lot of numbers that have floated around. This is a very, very conservative number that we're starting at, that we feel most confident in, where we know that we might be able to motivate action in states for them to finally actually look into their voter laws. One of the biggest projects that we have done at the RNC is we've requested that every single state provide us what their protocols are for NVRA list maintenance. So what we're currently looking into is we're asking every single state, when was the last time you looked at how many voters were registered twice? When was the last time that you removed dead voters from your voter rolls? When was the last time you removed someone that actually requested to be removed? And have you actually done that? There's been a couple of problem states that have not done that in as quick of a fashion. And this is something that we're learning. And well, we've always known it, especially when some of your coworkers, ask to be removed from the voter rolls, and it takes up to 4, 5, 6 months to remove them. That's a problem. So these are things that we're looking into, and I would expect at some point this year or early next, everyone will be hearing some noise from us on what this would actually look like. But we're definitely holding a lot of states accountable right now on what their list maintenance practices are. This was an effort that was launched under Chairman Whatley while he was with us, and is being continued on by Chairman Joe Gruters. And let me tell you something about Chairman Joe Gruters. I have worked with him in the state of Florida for many, many years. He's seen recounts. He's seen close elections. He knows everything that needs to be done to make sure that the election integrity operation continues on the aggressive path that it was built on last election cycle. So since last election cycle, some of the other things that the RNC has been up to, we are the only department at the RNC that never shut its doors, never staffed down. We kept a crew on staff while everyone was doing inauguration and transition. We kept a crew in-house that was solely focused on building out what the program would look like for next year. One of the first efforts that we launched into was in Pennsylvania. We built a poll election judge recruitment program. Why is that important? That's important because those folks serve 4-year terms, and they're up for election this year. And so that was something that we did. We recruited 1,500 individuals to serve as election judges, or minority inspectors, or majority inspectors, depending on what their county makeup looks like. That was a first time that the RNC has really dove into this type of effort. We currently have staff that are focusing on all of our target states at the headquarters level. We've deployed staff into Virginia and New Jersey, which I will touch on very shortly. But in addition to that, we've launched another effort that we've done through our state party strategy initiative, for states that are considered the non-targets, so you're very, very safe states. What we're doing is we have a staffer solely dedicated to helping to stand up election integrity operations, and we're doing that through each individual state party at the RNC level. So that's an added resource that, for the first time ever, the RNC is now providing to folks that are in the non-target states. They're equally as important. We have to stand up these programs and educate people. And that is a commitment that the RNC has made to continue to do. Now, on to Virginia and New Jersey, and one of the first really cool things that we've done this election cycle. And I'll give everyone a little bit of historical context. Since 2000, I think it was 17 or 18. Forgive me if the date is off. When the consent decree was lifted at the federal level, that allowed for the RNC to finally participate in election day operations. So really what that means is stand up and build an election integrity program. So since 2020 was the RNC's real true first foray into diving into election integrity. It wasn't called that at that time. It started to get called that in 2022. But when the RNC launched the election integrity operations in 2020, the program was really focused exclusively on just recruiting poll watchers and filing some litigation. Well, since then, the operation has grown to be more expansive, more aggressive. Last election cycle, I believe we filed something to the tune of about 179 lawsuits. That was nearly triple the amount of lawsuits that we had filed than the previous election cycle. So on the litigation front, we're incredibly aggressive. But on the operational front, we've started to deploy in new aspects to the program. Last cycle, we started doing poll worker recruitment. Last cycle, we created a program that the girl that is now running the day-to-day operations for election integrity, her name is Brooke Rennie. She spearheaded building something called the Special Monitor Program. The Special Monitor Program, what that does is that focuses on logic and accuracy or machine testing, and that focuses on the central count and tabulation centers. So the folks that serve in those roles get a much deeper level of training to understand more of the nuance. And so we built a pilot program last cycle, which is now fully deployed into the field. And for the first time ever, I can safely say we learned a lot of really good lessons on how to build a proper poll worker recruitment program, because the journey of tracking a poll worker is very hard. You have to find people and identify them. Then from there, they have to apply at the local municipality or at the county or at the state. Then from there, you have to track to see if they've been hired. And if they haven't been hired, then we have to start communicating with the the appropriate elected official in charge to make sure that, or elections official rather, to make sure that they're actually hiring them. And in instances like Detroit last election cycle, we have a parity law. They are required to hire one Republican for every Democrat. Well, they didn't do that in the primary, and we sued, and we were able to, for the first time ever, get 600 poll workers in Detroit placed. And that was a huge win for us. And that is the exact path that we're going on right now. So in Virginia and New Jersey, we've recruited hundreds of people to serve as poll workers, and we're still doing it. We get updates every single day of new people that have been hired to become poll workers. On the logic and accuracy and machine testing piece, we're working through that process as well. And we've participated in every single target county that has had a logic and accuracy and machine test. And what we've already found are issues that have happened. For example, in Richmond City in Virginia, we found that they had tested one of the spare machines, and they did not have an accurate count. So when you run the ballots through, what you're supposed to see on the protected count and the public count, you're supposed to see a 1-to-1 ballot to vote total match. Well, we found that wasn't the case in Richmond City. Our lawyers intervened, they got involved, and our understanding as of today is that that machine was not going to be deployed into the field for that election. So that's just one of the examples of where we're really punching into the details on to make sure that every single machine that gets deployed out in the field, there's no funny business with those machines. When we do find out about if the counts don't match the number of ballots that have run through, we get our litigation team involved and our lawyers involved, and they do the wonderful magic that they do to make sure that that machine is either fixed or removed and isn't counting ballots improperly. So that's a little bit of insight into where we're at. What I will say is things are tightening up in Virginia, New Jersey. I feel really good about it. It's going to be that one's going to be a tight race as well. I feel incredibly optimistic about both of those states. Definitely, especially New Jersey. Those folks are really doing great work on the ground to turn out the vote. Same in Virginia as well. And I'm very hopeful and optimistic for our chances in both of those states. And what I will say is that should there be time for a recount, just like we were in Pennsylvania last cycle for the great senator from Pennsylvania that we have gotten elected out there, we will be prepared if we need to be ready for a recount. The RNC has an unprecedented number of resources that we've deployed on the ground from the election integrity space to make sure that every legal vote is counted and that every single one of our folks is able to vote when they want to go vote. And the election process is just done correctly and accurately. So that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for allowing me to come on and give an update. Steve, do you have anything you want else from me?
Yeah, how people can reach you, and if they want to become poll watchers or poll workers, where do they go?
Yeah, so I think the best place for folks to be able to go in order to become a poll watcher, a poll worker, go to protectthevote.com, sign up. Our staff will contact you within 24 hours of signing up. I say that for Virginia and New Jersey. If you want to become a poll watcher in Virginia or New Jersey and you sign up, our staff will be contacting you within 24 hours. And we will do what we can to make sure that you get trained. We will if you want to become a poll worker, we will help navigate the process there with you, assuming that there's no deadlines that have closed, which I don't believe they have, because there still is some availability and needs for people to serve as poll workers. And that's the best way for everybody to get involved. And I really appreciate the time, and thank you so much to all the wonderful patriots that are on this call that just want to see elections done safely, securely, and accurately. Thank you, Steve.
Just let you know that we're on the War Room, we're on Facebook, we're on Cloud Hub, we're on Lindell TV, Stern American Rumble, OBBM Network, 120 different podcasters, many radio stations. People are streaming this all over, and they'll be streaming it for the next couple of days also. So thanks for coming on. I know you went away from your meeting, and we certainly appreciate that.
It's all good. I love the opportunity to come on, Steve. Thank you very much. This is, I think, my third time jumping on your show, maybe fourth, I don't know. But this is a great show. Thank you, everybody who's a wonderful patriot that's here listening to this show. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
You got it. So just to let everybody know, last week we did a precinct strategy call with 5.5 million people. If you want to see what's going on, and Raj, I don't know if you can put me on the screen there.
You're on the screen now.
Okay, so if anybody wants to see this, they can go to Stern American Rumble. It's a 4-hour program, one person each state. It took us 2 months to do. A lot of information out there for those people who missed it. Again, it's posted on Stern American Rumble. Anything you want to see. It's also live on Stern American Rumble. A lot of people watching today. So very important. So the next thing we're going to do is going to show you a little, and by the way, there's just a little thing. We just got this up. President Trump endorsed precinct strategy. Dan Schultz came on for 10 minutes, and we always ask people to go to www.precinctstrategy.com, buy his book. Very important. Dan came on, told everybody about precinct strategy, and you know we always talk about precinct strategy on every time. We're going to show you a little commercial on our flag shirt. That's how we pay for this. We do not make any money on this thing. We spend thousands of dollars producing this. And go ahead, see if you can put that up, little advertisement, and then we'll get to Dr. Robert Epstein.
What defines the American spirit? Preserving life, liberty, and pursuing happiness. Caring for the nation we call home and its people. As patriots, it's our duty to drive the entrepreneurial spirit, pushing hard, reaching for success, sharing patriotism. The American American way of life is for all to live.
Little technical difficulties, don't worry about that. So we're going to bring on Dr. Robert Epstein, senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology. In 2024, he forced Google to back off on its interference in the presidential election, in which gave President Trump at least 5 million more votes. Dr. Epstein, one of my favorite guys, come on down. Raj, can you get him on?
Dr. Epstein, go ahead and start. You can unmute. Go ahead and unmute Dr. Epstein. Click on the unmute button on the bottom of your screen, like a microphone icon. Okay.
All right, got me now?
We got you.
Okay, great. A pleasure to see you again, Steve. Let's have breakfast again soon. I just want to give out 2 quick links, and I'll mention them again when I'm done. The first one is americasdigitalshield.com. It's americasdigitalshield.com. And this will show you the dashboard for the national monitoring system that we created to see the content that Big Tech is sending to real voters and real children in all 50 states, americasdigitalshield.com. And for those of you who are interested in learning how to use the internet to preserve your privacy, myprivacytips.com. Myprivacytips.com. I'll see them when I'm done as well. But the point is that we have made tremendous progress, my research team and I, over the past 12 years, in learning about the ability that big tech companies have to manipulate millions of votes in our elections without people knowing that they're doing it. And we have also, since 2016, we have been setting up larger and more sophisticated systems for monitoring what they do. And these monitoring systems make them accountable to the public for the very first time. And to give you an example, just one quick example of how we got them to back off, on October 31st of last year, just 5 days before the election, we found, our monitoring system found that Google was sending out on its homepage, which is seen 500 million times a day in the United States, they were sending out 50% more go vote reminders to Democrats than to Republicans. Now think about that. Think about the impact that can have. That alone can shift millions of votes because you're telling Democrats go vote, but you're not telling Republicans. We went public that night, October 31st, and the next day, of course, we also told Google, and the next day, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they stopped. They stopped that manipulation. That was one of 3 ways in which we got Google to back off on manipulations in the 2024 election. And it's very unlikely that President Trump could have won the election unless we had gotten Google and other big tech companies to back off. That's what America's Digital Shield is all about. So if you go to americasdigitalshield.com, you'll actually see data coming in real time from the computers of more than 17,000 registered voters in all 50 states that we signed up one by one, and that we pay a small amount to, typically $25 a month. And we need people to sponsor our field agents. We cannot take volunteers. We've tried that. When we take volunteers, guess what happens? Google sends us thousands of people. So we cannot take volunteers. We have to actually go to the roles of people who've signed up to vote, and we have to call them up one by one. It's a long process, but we now have more than 17,000 of them, and we're also now monitoring the content that tech companies are sending to many of their children. So we're getting more and more evidence of the indoctrination of our children by Google and other tech companies. So if you go to americasdigitalshield.com, you'll see where you can sponsor a field agent. It's just $25 a month. And we need tens of thousands of Americans, of patriots, to sponsor our field agents, because what they let us do is monitor the content that's coming into their computers. And this is in all 50 states. And so far now we have court admissible data in 22 states. We need to get to all 50 states, and that'll really set up a kind of firewall that these tech companies will take very, very seriously. But we need to expand the system so that we have court admissible data in all 50 states. That's extremely important. The point is, what we're doing is unique. This monitoring system is the first one in the world of its kind, and we've been approached by officials from 8 other countries asking us to help set up monitoring systems in their countries, including Canada, by the way. And I have said no. I have said no to all of them because our system needs to come first. It needs to be fully built out. It needs to be made permanent. It needs better security. It needs tremendous security, because the more data that we have, that we've preserved from these companies, the greater the threat we pose to the kinds of shenanigans that they are perpetrating on the American public. So we have to grow our system. When our system is permanent and self-sustaining and secure, then I'm willing to help people in other countries, but not until. So we need your help to make this happen. Again, please go to americasdigitalshield.com. And the first thing you're going to see there at the top of the page is a big number that keeps getting bigger. And that is the number of what Google calls ephemeral experiences that they use to manipulate people. 2018, there was a leak from Google to the Wall Street Journal of Google employees discussing how can we use ephemeral experiences, that's their term, that's not my term, that's their term, to change people's views about Trump's travel ban. What are ephemeral experiences? Those are those brief experiences you have when you see search results, or you get an answer from an AI, or you see a news feed. All that stuff affects you, and then it disappears, it goes away in a puff of smoke. It's ephemeral. And that is why Google uses ephemeral experiences to manipulate, because normally it does not leave a paper trail. But our monitoring system grabs that content off the computers of all of our field agents in all 50 states. It grabs the ephemeral content and it preserves it, and we analyze it in real time. And that's what you're seeing on that page, americasdigitalshield.com. You're seeing that we have now preserved more than 127 million of these experiences, analyzing them. And if you scroll down farther on the page, you will see the extreme political bias in content that is coming from Google Search, YouTube, and other platforms. And that bias in the content shifts the votes, not of you perhaps, but it shifts the votes of people who are undecided, people who are vulnerable. And Google knows exactly who those people are, and they go after them with this biased content, and they shift their thinking and they shift their voting preferences. And we've shown this in controlled experiments that we've published in top peer-reviewed journals. So the science behind what we do is absolutely rock solid. And again, now I'm going to repeat the 2 websites, and then I'm done. Number 1, americasdigitalshield.com. Please click on sponsor a field agent and help us keep this system we have of field agents nationwide. Help us to grow it, because the bigger it is and the more court admissible data we have, the more accountable we make these companies. And second, if you're interested in learning how to use the internet safely and not being surveilled 24 hours a day, please go to myprivacytips.com. There's an essay of mine there which begins with the sentence, "I have not received a targeted ad on my mobile phone or computer since 2014. So if you want to see how I do that, go to myprivacytips.com. Steve, thank you again. You're a good friend, and you're an amazing guy, an incredible energy, and most importantly, you're a good American. You're a patriot. I think I am too. I'm not a conservative, by the way, but I believe in this country. I love this country. I love our system of government more than I love any particular party or candidate. And so that's why, even though I'm not a conservative, I'm working very hard to make sure that we have free and fair elections, that democracy is not undermined by the big tech companies. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dr. Epstein. Next up, we have Lynn Taylor. She's president of the Virginia Institute for Public Policy. chair of the Virginia Fair Elections Coalition. Let's hear from you now, Lynn.
Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate this invitation. As most of you know, Virginia's in the midst of elections for governor, lieutenant governor, AG, and our entire House of Delegates. There are also some elections for school boards and things like that. In Virginia, we don't have an election day. We have an election season because we have 45 days of early voting. Virginians began voting on September 19th. The Virginia Fair Elections Coalition began in 2021, and we have been running a campaign called VIP1, which is vote in person on the very first day that you can vote in person. Since we began in 2021, we have been doing it every year, and we're seeing the fruits of that campaign in the increase of early voters. So as of, I believe, yesterday, for around 400,000 Virginians have voted, which is twice as many voters as we had in the last gubernatorial election, which was in 2021. What we don't know is what effect the Charlie Kirk assassination, Jay Jones, who is, y'all have all heard about him, he's the Democrat candidate for AG, and his horrible comments on violence toward Republican office holders that everyone has seen in the news, or the closing of the federal government will have on the election. Now, the shutdown can have major effects not only on the federal workers who have been furloughed, because many of them actually live in Virginia, but it can also have an effect on Virginia families, particularly in Northern Virginia, because those workers who've been furloughed may be reducing their spending in the community. And of course, all of this could have a definite impact on the election. Last time Virginia had a blue trifecta, and make no mistake, that could be what we are headed for. Last time we had a blue trifecta, the election was in 2019. So they were in office during the General Assembly session in 2020 and 2021. At that time, they passed over 60 election laws that were geared to change our election processes. They gave us such things as 45 days of early voting that we've already spoken about, legal ballot harvesting. So if you want to go around and pick up everybody's ballot, you can do that right here in Virginia. Not only do we have no photo ID, you don't even need an ID. You can vote with your utility bill. We also have same-day registration and the like. Transparency in our elections is a travesty. So Virginia Fair Elections Coalition has been working on some of these issues since 2021, and we have been meeting every Monday for the past 4.5 years. One of our most recent challenges has been that the Department of Motor Vehicles now issues what they call mobile IDs that can be used for identification to vote, because our law says any government issued ID can be used. Now, understand, you don't need that to vote except for the very first time that you vote. Then you have to have a government ID. These can be used for government IDs. The problem is the polling places don't have the scanners that will read them. That becomes a real problem. So you can see we have some real problems and some major challenges that we continue to address. Now, if we get another blue trifecta, we will get all those things we've been able to stop over the last several years, like ranked choice voting, changing our parity of officers of elections rules. Right now, there is just as was spoken earlier in this meeting, you are supposed to have members of two different parties who are election officials, who are paid by the county or the city to be there. The challenge is that in those officers of elections, they would actually like to get rid of that whole parity thing, because they'd like all Democrats to be the ones who are running the show. We also may have a challenge with voting by the internet. So the Democrats in Virginia, in Fairfax County, Virginia, Fairfax County has 1/7 of all the votes in Virginia. It lies just outside of Washington, D.C., if you don't know the state of Virginia. And they used internet voting. They used in-person and internet voting in their firehouse primary earlier this year. Now, I understand it did not go well, but as we all know, that's never stopped them. So you see, this is a very important election, and we're deeply concerned. Now, I want to get to what you can do now. First of all, if you live in Virginia, you are a resident of Virginia, go vote. Go vote right away, just as soon. VIP 1, vote in person on the very first day that you can vote. I know that lots of people like to wait until election day. Here's the problem. If you go and vote on election day and you get up to the front and they tell you, oh, I'm sorry, you've already voted, you still get to vote, but it's a provisional ballot. Then you have to actually take your ID, proving who you are, to the provisional meeting in order to get them to actually accept your provisional ballot as a real ballot. Now, if they do, the very best that you can do is offset the vote that's already come in your name. So if you are actually voting earlier and somebody else tries to come in on your name, they can't prove who they are. So that means that your vote counts. So get out there. If you are a Virginia resident and a U.S. citizen, go vote right away. So the second thing that you can do is to sign up to be a poll watcher or an officer of elections. We specifically need officers of election. It's very important. Virginia has an election every year. And so what has happened is that a number of folks who have been working these elections are tired and they're not necessarily coming back out. So we need anybody and everybody who's a Virginia registered voter to please come out and sign up to be an officer of elections. Now, we do training on poll watchers and officers of elections every Monday evening at 7. And as soon as I get a moment, I can't actually do two things at once. I will put that link into the chat so that you'll have it. We also, so that's on Mondays at 7. On Tuesdays at 7, we actually do a deeper dive on some of the topics like same-day registration, the CAP, which is Central Absentee Precinct, in-person absentee voting, logic and accuracy. Next Tuesday, a resident expert, Clarabelle Wheeler, who many of you have heard of, will be presenting our training on same-day registration because it's a challenge, let me tell you. I will put those, as I said, I will put those into the chat so that you can get a hold of them. Now, AMAC Action, that's the Association of Mature American Citizens Action Division, just sent out an appeal to their 58,000 Virginia members, asking them to come out and be poll watchers and election officials. We need you. If you are a Virginian and you are an AMAC member, please take heed of that appeal. We need you to come out and help with this election. So as everyone probably also knows, there is a debate on tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's at Norfolk State University and it's being hosted by Next Star Media Group, which broadcasts in Virginia on WAVY 10. What we don't know is how good they're going to be about allowing other media outlets to also carry that debate. So, but that's coming up, something that you guys can watch, and we need your help. If you are a Virginia resident and you are a U.S. citizen, if you have not registered to vote, you need to. Oh, look, you can do it the same day that you vote. So you can get out there and do it all now because that's the way the rules are. So, yes. I'm just going to answer this one question if I could, Steve. To vote in Virginia, you have to be a citizen of the U.S. That is absolutely correct. You do. It is in our state constitution. The challenge, of course, is people pay attention to the state constitution. So thank you very much, Steve. I really appreciate your time.
Could you explain to the audience here what officer of elections means and what they do?
Yes, they actually work in the polling place. They work for the county or city. We have 134 counties and independent cities in Virginia. And you actually have to be hired by the election office in that county. in order to be an election official. Now, they require that they have their own training. We have better training. A little extra training is not going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, it's going to help you so that you understand what it is that you're looking for as you're an election official. Then they have these election officials are working right now all the way up and through election day and even beyond, because they are needed in such places as CAP, our central processing, and also the understanding that when mail-in ballots come in, they have until the Friday after election day to come in. So there is plenty that needs to be done, and we need y'all now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Steve.
that.
Appreciate your time.
Next up is Johnny Vieira, founder of Votify Now, the election integrity app launched in 2021.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Raj. Appreciate you guys having me. I've put some comments there, giving some links. But for anybody who hasn't heard of it yet, Votify Now is the I'd like to say the premier election integrity app. We've got many others claiming they've got an app. This took us years to build. We launched in 2020, the end of 2020. So we've been live pretty much since early 2021. Of course, if anybody that knows technology, we had to work the kinks out during 2021. We were live for the 2022 midterms. We were very effective. In fact, our data evidence was used in Kari Lake's lawsuit. We were brought on by Abe Hamadad's team, the Attorney General, pretty much a lot of the shenanigans that happened in Arizona. But the app was collecting data across the country. And let me give out a couple links, the technical stuff, and then I'll just spend a few minutes talking about what the app does. So at votifynow.org, you can learn all about the app. You can, I suggest, and I encourage everybody to please go to votifynow.org and then watch the 2-minute explainer video, and you will absolutely know everything about the app. And you will see, rather than me trying to explain it right now, votifynow.org, you watch a simple explainer video, and that will tell you the functionality of how the app is so effective, what it does. I can't do that explainer video justice in the few minutes that Steve and Raj have given me. And, you know, everybody should do it on their own. Also on that website, you have the links to the Google Play Store for an Android version, and you've got the link to the App Store for the iPhone version. And after you watch the explainer video, we encourage people to then watch right next to the explainer video is the how to use the app video. Again, 2 minutes. It'll show you exactly screenshots of the video, what to click. In a nutshell, we want poll watchers and regular voters. We want everybody to have the app on standby, ready to go. The basic functionality is you open the app, you choose the election integrity issues. It'll ask you to click what type of issue you're seeing. If you don't know really what you're seeing, you could just hit miscellaneous. Instantly, a box comes open to say what, it'll ask you what you're seeing. It'll allow you to take a photo or a video or upload a document. It'll then ask you to hit a button. One button automatically geo-locates where you're at, gives it a timestamp. You hit submit, and all that information comes into our secure database, which we then store. We keep chain of custody, and then we get that to the attorneys and different people around the country that we work with so that all this data evidence is preserved. That's one functionality that we use for the candidates and their teams. They get that tranche of data that they could use in case there's anything going wrong. They've got instant access to video, photos, any description. They've got instant access to all this data at their fingertips to be then turned into jurats or affidavits if they're contesting anything in their election. We were highly used in the 2022. I will tell you guys, funny enough, for the 2024 election, we were ready to go. The app has been running like a well-oiled machine for years by the time 2024 came along. And thank God Trump won in such a landslide, there was no use for our evidence to be used like there was in the 2022. Now, I can guarantee you in these 2026 midterms, there's going to be all kinds of stuff going on, and we're definitely focusing on Virginia. We're focusing on probably about 15 key states, California as well. Anything where there's important races, we're focusing on it. But let me quickly go back to the functionality. I gave you guys the functionality for candidates and their teams. The way the app is great for just regular citizens like you and me and others or poll watchers, when someone submits an issue and hits send, one version goes into our secure database with all the details that's used for legal battles. Then a little more basic version of the incident goes onto our map that you can access on the app. When you open the app, you'll see a view of the country. You could zoom into your hometown, or you could zoom out and look at the country, and you will see all the dots on the map of incidents that are happening across the country. They're color coded, red being the most nefarious. Then I believe orange is a little more mild. We use AI to determine what type of incident we think we're viewing. Now, it's not perfect, but the reason why we implemented AI is because during election time, especially during election day or the days leading up to it, sometimes the incidents are coming in so quickly, it's very difficult for us to process every incident. So we use AI to take a quick view of it. And then, of course, we do the research afterwards when we have a little more time. But we needed something to assist us if, 100 incidents are coming in a minute. That's just too much for our team to process. We don't have a big team. I'm the founder. I funded it. I take 0 donations. This costs nothing. We don't think that anybody should profit from this type of stuff. I understand that candidates need to do, they need donations. We refuse all donations. We don't want anybody interfering. We don't want anybody thinking that we're making money off of this or that anybody could buy the data. Everything is absolutely free at cost. There's no cost for the app. But getting back to the colored dots, this is critical because any citizen can open up the app and hit the button that says view incidents. And when you click that, you'll get the map open up, and then you can literally see it. And just like on Zillow or Redfin, where there's like a map and then dots on it of a property, well, these dots, you could click the dot and then it'll open the description and the video of what you're seeing. The reason that this is critical is because when you're voting, we don't want anybody to just go vote at maybe a polling location where there's all kinds of nefarious activity. So if someone wants to see what's going on, they could open up the app. If they see a bunch of red dots and all kinds of craziness, like what happened in Arizona in 2022, I mean, it happened everywhere, but 2022 especially, you would see a certain county just plagued with dots, or certainly certain locations were plagued with red dots. People could read what's going on. Maybe they might want to change where they're voting or what they're doing based on what they're seeing. And this is all in real time. The moment somebody reports an incident, within about 5 to 10 seconds, that incident is viewable by the whole country so that everybody can get a view. Also, when someone is reporting an issue, our app is learning what type of shenanigans is going on, and it's sharing that data within the system so that it knows what to look out for, because there's usually patterns of what the bad guys pull. The app can also be used for early voting. Someone sees somebody doing some ballot harvesting where they're not supposed to, or someone is finding piles of dumped off ballots. They could report it. The app has multiple uses. It's not just on voting day. It's not just for poll watchers. It could be used by anybody, again, free of cost. Just to wrap it up real quick, and but by the way, I want to say thanks to Steve and Raj. Steve was the very first guy that I talked to. He is such a patriot. And he was the very first guy I talked to when I launched. I was in Florida at the time. He's in Florida. And Steve made a lot of things happen. And I do owe him a lot of gratitude for that. So thank you, Steve.
Steak dinner.
We've always talked about I owe him a steak dinner, and now I think it's up to like 50 steak dinners at this point. But the other thing I'll encourage, in case anybody wonders if what I'm saying is accurate, please go to votifynow.org. After you watch that explainer video, go to the news and press button at the top of the website. It's one of the menus. You could read that we've been interviewed by just all the, Newsmax, John Solomon's Just the News. We've been interviewed by all the vetted press organizations that report accurately. So obviously, the app is the real deal, or certainly we wouldn't get interviewed by so many reputable agencies and journalists. And I think that's pretty much it, unless anybody's got.
Now we got to move on. Thanks very much, Johnny.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thanks, everybody. Votifynow.org and then download the app. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right. Our next guy was introduced to me by Steve Gillen. And why this is important, because the next guy I'm going to introduce you to has the passion that I do, but maybe even more, is a little bit younger, so he can work a little bit harder. So we're going to introduce Joe DeBox from Long Island, founder of the America First Warehouse, one of the largest MAGA guys that I know, supporter of President Trump, America First podcaster. I was on his podcast the other day. Thank you very much. He's streaming us for the first time. So this is why it's important for people to introduce us to each other, because he could have 10,000 people on today. And every person we get on brings more information out and lets other people understand what's happening and getting the information out. So thank you very much. Come on down, Joe.
I am honored and blessed to be part of your network, Steve Stern. There is nobody that I've come across in my short 63 years in the universe, because that's how big the universe is to me. It's only 63 years so far, and you have made a tremendous impact. I appreciate what you're doing, and you are my example, because exactly what you're doing, my job, the divine inspiration by my Lord Jesus Christ, is to be the truth, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, exactly the way it was signed by Rudy Giuliani, my good friend, who is behind us in everything we're doing with voter integrity and everything that you're doing, Steve Stern, and these great people around you. I must say, what we know about Virginia, Winston Sears is a Marine. We love her for that. We feel that she is a America First candidate. We have a big picture of her on the wall and the warehouse outside. I almost want to bring it in. We support all of the America First candidates. And it's easy to find out who they are with their voting record on some incredible organizations like the Project Civica out of New York. It was important for me to get behind and support whatever candidates I can that are not only interested in making New York great again, but to make America great again. So we built this platform, the America First Media and Television. It's where MAGA is made. That's right. This is where we manufacture and produce MAGA. And what we are concerned about is the people of these great United States, the people that the last administration have lied and lost. The same people in Virginia that are running your state, which I heard a few things just a few minutes ago. They allow elections to go 45 days before the election, after the election. Unbelievable. Why do we sit down in our backsides and let this happen? I will not do that anymore. My original motivation for God and country, my father was a Marine. My mother taught me all about Jesus. We lost a child, not me personally, my twin brother, identical twin brother, to the open border fentanyl poisoning of our 100,000 people and children a year. We lost our son. We reacted immediately when Donald Trump said he was going to do something about it. And why can't our elected officials do something about it? Well, first of all, in New York, what I found out that it's the good old boys club. If you're not in, you're out. The committee man strategy, when the county has 800 empty committee seats, you know what you get? You get DEI, you get Muslim representation, you get people that do not agree with us. And I say us, I'm certain we're all in the same category. If you're not, I apologize. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I have the right to say and feel, and I will use everything that God has given me to get this country and save this country, just like you, Steve Stern. I did run and put on my flag shirt before, but my wife wanted me to make sure I was wearing the America First warehouse shirt, because this is the voice in the wilderness here for America is coming through here. We have tremendous support by these great men that you see behind me. And every one of these men have been here. Every one of these men, God has brought me in front of them. And I'm just a simple guy. I moved furniture. Joe the Box, it's my nickname. I moved furniture my whole life. I worked in this country to raise my wife and I, and our beautiful children turn into men. Now they can't buy a house here in New York. They got to go to Virginia or south. I don't know what to say, Steve Stern, but you are starting something that's very important. And my platform, whether it's 10,000 or 100,000, will continue to share the work that you're doing and the great people that are here in this. I encourage you. I will put anything on my media, America First. It's www.theamericafirstwarehouse.com, the voice in the wilderness, and it's where MAGA is made. Amen. Here's my sermon. Let's get Virginia, Winston Sears.
Tell us a little about your warehouse and what you do, because a lot of people don't see it. Maybe you got a picture of it or something where you can show everybody.
I don't know if I can do any of that. Let me see. I got this new camera they just put on before I sat down a couple minutes ago. Well, that goes outside to the warehouse. We're doing a podcast right now with Steve Levy. He's was a local Suffolk County executive, and he talks about the businesses on Long Island, how to deal with the tariffs or the changes that are going on. Every podcast we do shows. We have comedy with that show tonight. Mike Loftus and his organization come in here. It's a live Saturday night. It's a Saturday Night Live, but we're funny. That's how we see it. You don't have to watch it. You can go watch Jimmy Kimmel. We're all right with that. We partner with Real America Voice Friday night, live from Studio 6B, one of their television shows. Go out to $35 million. So 35 million viewers. So they go, Joe, what's going on? I say, well, I'm with Steve Stern at the Save America project. We're trying to get Virginia, on the map, and what they're doing is terrible. I'm just saying, people come in. We're giving the platform for whomever and everybody we can. We all feel the same way. Otherwise, we'd be working, making money, going feeding the poor. We'd be doing great things. But we have to save the country, every one of us. So, the America First is media and television. That's what we're building. It's not there yet, but it's very close. And the news division is going to be Rudy Giuliani. He told me himself.
How do people reach you, Joe?
www. You got to put that in because you won't find me without it. The America First Warehouse. TheAmericaFirstWarehouse.com. One word. Thank you for the opportunity. Steve, it's not me. It's not you. It's not the money that we work so hard to make. It's the American people that are getting lost and gobbled up by the global elitists that live in Virginia.
Thank you very much. Next up, we got Harry Hurry, chairman of United, the number 4 Freedom. Harry, you on there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can, very well.
Thank you, Steve and Raj, for having us on again. For those that don't know the name transition, we used to be called United Sovereign Americans, but there's such ambiguity about the word sovereign these days because of political misuse and arguments about the term. We went ahead and changed it to Unite for Freedom. But the fact is that we are, focused, as we always have been, on a broad countrywide effort. We now are hovering around 32 state chapters. We have thousands of volunteers. And really because of kind of representing or showing my background as a cyber forensic investigator, we've focused on tremendous data analytics. We've got a great data analytics team. We've got almost 100 data analysts that are, many with 10, 20, 30 years of experience. And of course, some cyber forensic investigators can be found as well. But the fact is that we knew from the very beginning in 2020, when I'm sitting in Arlington trying to figure out what happened to the 2020 election with hundreds of other volunteers that came into town for that we didn't really have a program for analytics that looked at artifacts or indicators. And we heard some great things about how to aggregate the indicators from the field, but you can also see all of this in the data itself, because whatever they're doing, whenever they're doing it, they leave artifacts. It's very hard to change things and have all of the crossfoot of the rows in the table and the columns in the table to agree with each other. It's very hard to zero it out. We see indications of this starting in 2020, continuing 2022, a little bit less in 2024, but we have a system integrity problem. I like to talk about this all the time, is that it's not just the machines. The machines are bad, no question. We shouldn't be using them, but it's, in addition, it's the voter registration rolls. It's the way that the tabulation results are aggregated. And then because of the work we were doing at Unite for Freedom, we start seeing in 2022 significant behind the scenes manipulations of the actual vote. And the reason we can do this is in some states we have very high resolution on the back end data, the recording of the voter histories. There's millions and millions of unexplained edits going on. And there will be a report being released on this more broadly soon. But right now, what we've been focusing on is, do the state officials actually know? Do they actually know who is voting out there? And the numbers are staggeringly bad. We call them the phantom voter report. These are individuals with bad voter registrations. There's individuals that can't be found. The fact is that we even have a very large number of votes where we have votes but no recorded voters. So there's millions. I mean, people don't understand this. The vote-to-voter discrepancy, as we've traditionally called it, but now we're calling it the missing records problem. We seem to somehow get all sorts of votes into the system that don't have any recorded voter associated with them. Some of you may be familiar with the Orange County, California report that we helped Joe Hoft with, and we found a very, very high error rate in the registrations. And it's not just registrations. People ask this question all the time. The problem is a lot of those with registrations that don't meet the law are voting, but no one's doing anything about it. So we're trying to push this issue of how bad the situation is with the voter rolls out to everyone. We just released earlier this week a identity verification study in West Palm Beach, the home base of the president. And what we found there is shocking, actually. We've got an error rate in the system that exceeds 12%. And these are people, again, where we can't find the voter. The voter's registration is not a valid registration, or there's a vote-to-voter discrepancy. We have these reports in 2022. We have them in 2024, and we have some of the first ones from 2020 retrospectively. But what I want to emphasize, and we've heard it a little bit already today, this is an all of battlescape kind of engagement. If we don't do everything we can in 2026, it'll be a terrible, terrible error. We have to look at the voter rolls. We have to look at the machines. We've got to look at, the way that the aggregate vote is being brought together. We've got to look at whether or not anything that's being used is certifiable to begin with. And one of the things that we've been working with other groups on for some time is the fact that the existing results are not auditable. The Dairy Queen down the street has to have auditable books for the IRS, but for some reason, the most important thing we do as a country, which is to elect our representatives, is not auditable. And we all know what that reason is. There's officials, bureaucrats, elected officials, nefarious actors in the background that choose to degrade the system. We have all sorts of narratives, about denying people the right to vote and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, denial of the right to vote exists every bit as much in the other direction. When somebody votes that's not supposed to vote, it's a direct dilution of the vote. It's illegal, but we can't get the judges, we can't get the FBI, and to take any action on these things. This is starting to change, thankfully, under the current administration. We've been heavily engaged with Washington since the Trump wave came into town, and we continue to help them however we can. We're engaged with multiple U.S. attorneys now. We have FBI agents for the first time that are legitimately, in years, legitimately looking at the scale of the problem that exists. Now, people ask me also about, what this evidence shows. This evidence shows that the officials do not know who's voting, which is a statutory requirement, just to be clear. It's been election fraud by definition for years. When you give a ballot to somebody you don't know who they are, which under the U.S. Constitution is an eligible U.S. citizen, they're committing election fraud. And so the fact of the matter is we're providing this data to prosecutorial resources across the country. We have a lot of problems, though, which hopefully will be getting better over the next year and a half. But the fact of the matter is, as everybody sees, whether you're talking about firing miscreant federal workers or enforcing border rules in terms of who's immigrating or enforcing election laws, we have a lot of judges themselves that are involved in this nonsense. So we're really looking at three basic engagements for the next period of time until the 2026 election. We are looking at broad and scaled activism, engagement of citizens, engagement of government officials at state, local, and federal level, and actually a broad program to engage the judicial system. We've also started a new program across our environment. We want to help any of the other Patriot groups that need help. We have qualified data analysts. We've got computer programmers. We don't have an infinite amount of capacity, but we do have hundreds of them. So if there's a program out there that needs some help, even if it's just peer review of your results, we're not out to take credit for other people's work. We're out to help strengthen the quality of the data that's being talked about and start forcing on the statement that we started, which is we need to have real voters. We need to have real votes. Real counts and proof. This is the one we've added to the original trifecta, which is, if we can't audit elections, we don't know who won an election. So it's as simple as that. And when you see the amount of behind the scenes backdoor manipulation of voter histories that is going to come out shortly, it's going to blow your socks off. But the fact is, I want to. Go ahead.
1 minute.
I've been watching my clock here. I was just getting ready to thank you again, Steve, for having us on, and Raj, as always.
How do they reach you, Harry?
Behind the scenes, and we'd like, our website is unite4freedom.com. We need your resources. We need your time. We're hoping to have 100,000 people volunteering by the end of, this election cycle. So we're trying to put a citizen army out there, as well as data analysts and legal scholars and everything else. I know Greg Stenstrom's coming up. Greg and I and David Clements and I and Peter Berninger, I want to shout out to those three particularly, have done a tremendous amount of work about machines and about how to file lawsuits and get these things stopped. And we're going to start embracing those approaches as well. So thanks again, Steve, and
You got it.
keep the good work up. And we all need faith in this fight. Talk to you
Thanks
soon.
very much. So we want to thank Dan and Hala Sperliglio in Ohio now, Voice of the People. They get probably one of the most diverse audiences in maybe 30 countries around the world. So thank you, Dan. I know you got a new job and it's tough for you to do everything, but we appreciate everything you're doing. Now coming up is one of the most important people on the program today, Apollo Pappas. He's the producer and the host for Tina Peters' show. He will talk about, which is Truth Matters. He will talk about everything he's heard and done with Tina. He works for Tina full time now. And she called me from prison last week and asked people to go to tinapeters.us. That's tinapeters.us. Would appreciate any donation. You know, I support her 1,000,000%. And every day we're on the phone with somebody trying to help her get out of jail. So can you bring him down? Is he up, Apollo?
Yeah, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead, Apollo. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, well,
Hear
Steve,
you and
I
see
want to
you.
thank you for having me on, and Raj. And I'm certainly not the most important person on this call. The only person I'll say is collectively the American people, because it's their voice that have been stolen. And I am simply here as a representative for Tina Peters today. I know Harry was just going through a lot of information, and I saw some comments about using the EMS and a lot of things. And I know there's probably many of you who are familiar to some degree with Tina's story. But the place that we're in now in this country is still very dire in a lot of ways. And not just in terms of elections, because Tina Peters was in fact prosecuted with many trumped-up charges by the government here in Colorado, the Secretary of State, the Attorney Generals. These are people who were working behind the scenes on record with Dominion voting systems, including those some individuals who were working in the clerk's office with Tina Peters. So even before the 2020 election, which is where Tina's story really starts for a lot of the media with the so-called trusted build, which was very simply when the Secretary of State came in to wipe a great deal of election records, completely destroy all the evidence on the Mesa County machines. And Tina Peters, because she had been speaking with individuals who did know what was going on and all the signs that we had seen collectively from around the nation as to the issues with these machines and very clear signs of fraud, she made a backup. Now, her charges include identity theft and violation of duty in X and Y and Z, and they're all completely invented by the Secretary of State and the government here in Colorado in order to persecute her, because she is the only county in Colorado that actually maintained an image of the Mesa County EMS before and after. She has the only surviving, at least on record publicly, image of the Mesa County machines of a system before they performed the trusted build in Colorado. And what that has done is provided forensic evidence, some of which you can find on her website, tinapeters.us. Some of it has been articulated very well in the Mesa County reports and elsewhere. But it shows very clearly there's database manipulations, vulnerabilities, uncertified applications on these machines. And Tina Peters has now been in prison on charges that the media makes entirely about elections, but her trial was completely a sham. She was denied a defense. She was put absolutely through the ringer. She had almost 100 motions denied before they were even able to get to her trial, presenting evidence that would allow her to mount a defense to her actions, which she did lawfully. She preserved records that were required to be preserved under federal law by 22 months. I believe it's 25 months under Colorado law. The Secretary of State wiped those records, and Tina Peters is the one who is now sitting in prison multiple witnesses within her trial that were called for her prosecution all said in their own testimony that she acted within her authority and that the actions that Tina Peters took, the communications that she made, did not influence their decisions to do anything as regarding the backups and any of the things that were used to villainize Tina Peters. Their own testimony and the witnesses called for the prosecution vindicate Tina. And one of the key witnesses, Gerald Wood, was caught perjuring himself on the stand, speaking about supposedly the fact that he was unknowingly having his identity stolen. The entire trial is a sham. It's been now over a year. I believe it's 371 days that Tina Peters has been in prison, not simply because she was convicted on these ridiculous charges, but she has been denied bond. This is simply because she has been denied bond on appeal in charges that were given to her by an absolutely biased judge, giving her consecutive sentences totaling almost a decade for a 70-year-old woman, a Gold Star mother who was a model citizen who simply did her job following state and federal law. And she is still in prison being denied appeal. Why? Because in the judge's own words, she is a danger because of her speech. She is a danger to society because the things that she said undermine the confidence that the American people have in their elections and in their rule of government. So this is not only a very stark issue for Americans in terms of elections, because this evidence has been seen by FBI. FBI and federal officials were communicated with from the government in Colorado going up to this. So they were aware of it. The evidence that Tina Peters preserved is related to a federal election. So these are federal election records. The supremacy clause was completely thrown out and ignored in her trial. And Tina Peters needs your help. There have been a lot of people who've been saying they're helping Tina, and I'm not going to get into details right now, but unfortunately it's not true. Tina Peters is still, despite Kash Patel and some of these individuals talking about the ending of weaponization, well, I hate to tell you, Peter Navarro is out of prison. That's a blessing for America because he shouldn't have been in there. Steve Bannon is out of prison. We've had progress on the J6ers, but there's still a lot of work to do. But weaponization is still happening because Tina Peters is still in prison, and she's still in prison because she is simply being denied bail. The judge made a mockery out of the Constitution, out of free speech, 8th, 9th, 14th Amendment. There's multiple aspects to this where Tina's rights were violated, but this is in the judge's own words. And that is, by the way, a violation of judicial canon. Colorado has 3 primary canons as it relates to the behavior of the judiciary. They are to act impartially, uphold their duty, and carry it out impartially without bias, and to maintain confidence in the government and the judicial system. Judge Matthew Barrett did none of those things, and Tina Peters needs your help right now. She has hundreds of thousands of legal bills that she has not been able to pay. Her attorneys have not been paid more than a little bit that we've been bringing in recently for nearly a year. John Case has been very patient. Peter Tickton and American Rights Alliance, blessed be to God, have come on, and Peter has come on as lead attorney, but he's agreed to be to go without pay entirely, and it's just said, don't worry about it, because she has all these other attorneys who've been working hard and they need help. So big ask right now that I have for all of you: Tina Peters needs to be out of jail. The fact that she has not been released on bond pending appeal is a travesty, to say as an understatement, for the Constitution in the state of Colorado and in the United States. The evidence vindicates her actions. So I'd encourage all of you, number one, if you are able to file a judicial complaint, you're fully willing to do that if you believe that Judge Barrett's actions violated her rights. That affects all of you as a citizen of America. And please, we need Tina Peters' name to stay in everyone's mind right now, because she's in a dangerous facility. She's being robbed of her voice, which is why she simply asked me, just keep my show alive. And we're doing everything that we can to get her out. But she needs your help. She needs her voice out there. The Justice Department needs to remember that while weaponization has been ended for some, it's still well alive for Tina Peters, who is still rotting in a dangerous prison with murderers and violent offenders. A 70-year-old woman who did nothing violent cannot repeat her offense because she no longer holds the position. And the charges were essentially shown to be bullshit during the trial. Pardon my French, but it's a travesty, and Tina needs your help. So if you can donate on tinapeters.us, tinapeters.us, you can find her legal defense fund. That's the big thing right now, because she's gone so long, and she needs to pay her attorneys so that she can continue fighting this. Her trial is going to stretch out most likely into 2027, just on her appeal. We're still waiting for a habeas filing and a ruling from the judge here in Colorado that hopefully will happen in the next month or so that she can be released on bond. But there's plenty of evidence that should qualify Tina Peters as a witness in a federal investigation, and she has not been pulled out. So we're waiting on the Justice Department to possibly do that. I don't know what's going to happen there, but Tina Peters needs your help, and she needs her voice and her name to stay alive, because she is still a victim of this government. And at this point, we are all Tina Peters, because if they can continue to do this to her, they could do it to all of you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We all know how we support Tina Peters. If you can, call the governor. Like we said before, maybe you can put this up, Raj. Call Governor Jared Polis, ask for her to be pardoned. 303-866-2471. Over 100,000 people have called already. We've shown this on every show that we can be on. There it is right now. I'll put it up for a couple of seconds here. We are telecasting through Steve Bannon's program today. Thank you, Maureen Bannon, for helping us get it on. A little bit late, but it's on, and we wanted to wait to put this up. We want to thank Rumble for putting us on the front page. Sam Anthony, YourNews.com, Bright T on TV through Ohio Brett, Melissa Red Pill, among others who are streaming us today. We'll try to get as many people that we can talk about as we have time. Next up, one of my favorite.
And Steve, right before Gary comes back on, Apollo, thank you for that. So if there are people that want to get you on their podcast, or the people that want to get you to share what you just shared here on other news sources, how do they get in touch with you, Apollo?
You can email me at Apollo, APOLLO, at thetruthmatters.us.
And you mentioned a judicial complaint. How do people do that?
You do it through the state website. If you all go to tinapeters.us, and if you're following Tina or myself, I'll make sure I post it again on X and on Tina's socials, so you can find that. And I just want to real quick thank you, Steve, for putting up Polis's number. The reason that's important is that they are state charges, so Trump cannot pardon her, but Governor Polis can. So thank you for that.
Of course, anything we do to help. Okay, we're going to bring on Gary Myers, who's the CEO of the Myers Report, a think tank founded in 1982. I'll let him explain all the rest of the stuff. I know he gave me some other stuff to say, but I think he's better saying it than I am. So come on down, Gary.
Thank you, Steve. Boy, Tina Peters is our version of Tommy Robinson. She should not be in prison at all. As Steve started to say, and thank you, Steve, for everything that you're doing. You are a true patriot, and we got to keep the word getting out. I think our country, obviously, we are at a cusp. I think we're going to win. But that being said, we got to keep on fighting and not accept, what the risk is. The risk is there. As Steve started to say, our group was founded in 1982. It is a think tank. We've got people from around the world who are participating, some of whom have been with us since the beginning. Everybody has specialties, areas of expertise. There are no academics. Everyone has an area of expertise because they were at the event, did the event, or did the original research that everyone else talks about. And we recently did 170 forecasts for 25 and 26 back in October, November, December. And so far, of 107 that of the items that we forecast that could be measured, we're hitting a 95% accuracy rate. Anyway, our group recently completed a study of election rules for all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. And we compared the rules that we have here with 36 other countries in South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, and Australia. We had over 30 people working on 5 different continents doing the research. The information that I'm presenting today is the results of this study and what is going to be coming next. The study compared 17 issues that related to voting. Citizens-only voting, same-day registration, ranked choice voting, whether or not they had it, in-person early voting, mail-in ballots, qualifying for absentee ballots, meaning that you had to have an excuse to have an absentee ballot, not universal absentee ballots, total mail-in ballot voting days, how far they were stretching out the election process, whether or not the state or the entity or the country accepts late ballots, except, of course, for UOCAVA, which has 8 days, ballot harvesting, which is the bane of our election system, that and mail-in ballots, whether or not the state or the country requires voter ID, whether or not the state or country has small precincts. Some states, some of the US states are moving away from this with counting and particularly with handling of mail-in ballots. Whether or not the entity uses paper ballots, whether or not they mark their fingers so that people can only vote on a single day and they can only vote once, whether or not they are counting the ballots using manual and optical scanners versus touch screens, whether or not they have routine audits, whether or not they get quick results, and whether or not the consumers or residents or citizens have ready access to voter rolls. Steve, can I do a share? This is our latest study, and these are the updates. Basically, of all 50 states, we had a scoring system of 0 to 100. Of all 50 states, only 4 had good ratings, and most of the red obviously failed. Failing means they had a score of 64 or under. Compared to the rest of the world, we don't look good. There are only a few places that are worse, that are as bad, almost as bad as we are. But the fact is, our score of 59.8 was the worst of the countries that we surveyed. You can see how it looks for our states on an individual basis. Only 4 are looking good. Most are marginal, and way too many are just failing. Compared with the overall average of other countries, which had an average of 88, we scored 60, or actually the US had 59.8 versus 88 for the African countries we studied, 88, 85 for Latin America, and so forth. Compared, you can see the individual countries, and we were, as I said, 59.8, which rounds to 60. Germany and Australia were just about as bad as we were. And here it is by individual country. Now, basically, citizens-only voting. 75% of the countries surveyed require only citizens voting. However, 14% have residency requirements so that if you've been a legal resident of that country, you can still have access to vote. Whereas 92% of our states say that citizens only are required. You have to be a citizen in order to vote. However, there's a lie to that, or a deception, or a deceit, in that only New Hampshire has real proof of citizenship, and 3 other states have sort of have proof of citizenship, but have loopholes. So this 92% is highly deceptive. Again, what we are talking about here are the rules, as opposed to what actually happens. That's going to be coming in our next study. Same-day registration. 97% of the countries we studied do not have same-day registration, versus 55%. Only 55% of our states do not allow same-day registration. 94% of the countries studied do not allow mail-in ballots versus only 27% of our states. The 2005 Carter-Baker Commission, which with Jimmy Carter, and I guess it was James Baker or Howard Baker, I always get the two of them confused, which was commissioned reporting on what it takes to secure our election system, said that the number one issue or threat to our voting system are mail-in ballots. The next is lack of voter ID. Again, 73% of our states have mail-in ballots. 6% of other countries we studied allow mail-in ballots. And where they do allow mail-in ballots, they are really absentee ballots that you have to have an excuse for. They're highly qualified. This is the most ridiculous thing. 97% of the countries studied do not accept late ballots. I cannot understand why anybody would. But about a third of our states will accept late ballots, which is incredibly stupid. Then, of course, ballot harvesting. No other country allows ballot harvesting, yet we allow it. We prohibit ballot harvesting in only 45% of our states, which is absurd. Requires ID for voting. Why would you not? 92% have of the other countries have solid voter ID issues. 29% of our states really don't. They have the honor system. The fact is, whenever you use the honor system, either for voting or for voter registration, we're the only country that does it. Foreign observers that have come into our country think it's absolutely absurd that we do this. Again, here is the ranking of our scoring system, how we did it. The total was 110. Our next survey is going to be on who actually follows the rules. Now, when setting up the rules, we did use countries, we did use China, Russia, and even North Korea, all of whom scored better than the United States. It's not that we think that they have fair elections, but they want to appear as fair. So therefore, what they do, they have rules that make them look good, and that's why we included them in the benchmark of our grading system. That's basically it. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you very much. We don't get questions. It'll be in the chat, so we certainly appreciate it. Next up is one of our favorite guys, repeat guest, Greg Stenstrom, Patriots Online. Come on down, Greg.
Go ahead. There we go. Go ahead, Greg.
Just so you know, Raj, my video goes off for no reason. So if it goes off, I'll put it back on. Just let me know. I may not be looking at the screen.
You're good.
Keep your nice radio voice going, man. It's a great
sure.
DJ voice. It's awesome.
Is that better?
You're good.
All right. Thank you, Steve, for having me on. I've been watching the previous guests. I appreciate the shout out from Bill Allen. Paulo, that was a great update. And Gary, thank you. Very, very illuminating. So I'm just going to give a quick update.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Gary. So I'm going to just give a quick update. You know, people, there's been people on this podcast and other people that outside of the podcast that sometimes criticize litigation as something that's an effective tool against stopping election fraud or stopping fraud in general. And I have a few examples today of litigation that has worked and it's continuing to work. And it's an effective tool, especially for pro se litigants. So I'll be talking a little bit about that in a little while. But what do I have, about 8 minutes here today?
Yeah, about 8.
Okay. I got my timer, my clock going, so I'll keep an eye on it, Steve. Give me a 1 minute countdown. So the first thing I wanted to let everybody know is that like most elections for the past 5 years, we file litigation just about every election regarding the election machines not having authorized code. In Pennsylvania, the Secretary of the Commonwealth, which would be the equivalent of the Secretary of State in most states, has admitted twice in court that not a single machine in Pennsylvania is certified. This is a violation of federal code 52 USC. It's also a violation of Pennsylvania code as well. Any machine used in an election that is we've challenged this in almost every election, and we finally got an answer in the last election from a federal judge that said, even though they admitted that there was fraudulent code on the machines, they admitted it, that it was speculative whether they would cheat or not. So that's a violation of black letter law. It's also a violation of jurisdiction. The judge had no immunity or discretion to make that ruling, and she'll be answering to that very shortly in other litigation that will be filed. But in the meantime, I filed case CV 2025-009036 in Delaware County. It's Stenstrom versus Delaware County Board of Elections and the Director of Elections, James Allen. And in a nutshell, I tried to make it simple as I could this time. People have talked about hash codes and machines and so forth. And there's a test, and it's required by almost all of the manufacturers. This is Hart into Civic, but it's also required with Dominion, required with ES&S, required with other code. It's called a software validation test, SVT. And an SVT is what's run. It's in the EAC, Election Assistance Commission. It's in the NIST lab. It's also in all of the state certifications that the requirement, black letter law, to use machines, a software validation test must be run, period. Software validation test, at the end of the test, just outputs, generates, poops out a one-page document. The one-page document says what's allowed to be there, what's allowed not to be there, and it has some fingerprint codes. They call them hash codes, and people have got wrapped around the axle on what those are and aren't. But the bottom line is the software validation test basically poops out one page, and if the page doesn't match, the law says it can't be used. So we went to the software validation tests most recently in Delaware County. And what the Director of Elections there has done, and most other people have done that are actually even running them, is they ran their own test. And they ran a test called a software manifest test, which is not a software validation test. So it generated some garbage, and the garbage basically said, well, we just have to match this to the EMS machine, which of course is going to match because the EMS machine, the election management system, is the machine that generates the code for the election machines. So what it really comes down to, and it boils down to, is the code is basically fraudulent. Filed a lawsuit, made it as simple as we could, gave exhibits. That case will hopefully be heard before the election in 2025. Typically, they have not heard these. They've quashed them, and they just refuse to hear them at all. But we'll be taking care of that. Our goal is to watch for 2026. The other thing is we'll be filing this week another case for the mail-in ballot envelopes. We can prove that about 70% of them are fraudulent. 70% of mail-in ballots. We have 582,000 mail-in ballot envelope images. We put them through our own advanced sovereign AI. It's our own AI that we use, that we developed. And it came back and it showed which signatures were fraudulent. It also showed, quite frankly, that there was a broken chain of custody in about 3/4 of them. We've done other analysis. We've suspected this before. We've tried to justify it, but this is the first time we have an advanced AI system that has created a forensic record up to ASTM standards that shows that the mail-in ballot envelopes are fraudulent. They're being injected into the system. That lawsuit will be filed this week, and we expect it to make a big difference in 2026 as a prima facie case. I'm also working with Andy Thompson out in Nevada. Give a shout out to him if he's answering or if he's listening. And we're working on a federal suit there. The federal judge just came out and they found 60,000 fraudulent votes in Nevada. What the Secretary of State did out there is they destroyed all of the machines. They overwrote all of the Dominion machines with code to destroy the forensic evidence. It was intentional. It's criminal. It's a crime against both election retention records and it's also a crime that they committed to, subvert and obstruct investigation. The judge out there just ruled that he has no standing, which is the defendants didn't even argue, the trial court didn't even argue, and the judge injected this argument, which is a violation of judicial canon. And that brings us to what I want to take in the last minute or two.
1 minute, yeah, 1 minute.
So basically, our problem in the courts is that the judges, most of them are politicians in robes, and that's what we're finding. If we go after when I say go after, there's good judges out there, but if we go after the politicians in robes, and which is what we're doing, and we've elevated, we'll get rid of them. About a year and a half ago, I wrote an article that was downloaded 100,000 times. I was on Alex Jones' show, which got 30 million hits, regarding the SIGI, the council who was running America. I sued the Inspector General of the United States and the 117 defendants that included Comey, Wray, Garland, Barr. We filed that in May. I wrote the article last year. As of this week, Inspector General Horowitz has been removed. They moved him over to the Federal Reserve. They're charging Comey. Over 60 of the defendants have resigned or been terminated from the SIGI. And last week, President Trump defunded the SIGI. They're gone. The council. So litigation works. Lawsuits work. I think Tina Peters, I was listening to the case there. The problem there is a completely deranged and biased judge. We also are filing a case next week that we've identified clerks in the state of Pennsylvania that are using auto pens for judges that have been retired. We have found thousands of orders from judges who have been left the bench over 10 years ago that are being generated by clerks appointed by political appointees and Governor Shapiro. Lastly, what I want to say is, because I don't have much time, we filed a lawsuit regarding the Human Rights Commission. We killed that 2 weeks ago. I filed a case in the Supreme Court against the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania to demand that people other than licensed attorneys may represent people. That case is in motion. And lastly, what I'm going to do is, because I don't have much time, is you see this.
We're out of time. We're out of time.
Well, wait a second. Just give me one more
Go ahead.
second.
Go
I got
ahead.
Patriot.online here. And what I wanted to say is, people give me prayers all the time, but donations count. We're at a point where some of us, I've seen other people here drop off, and I've been working with Patriots now for quite a while. And quite frankly, I'm making food decisions. There's a donate button on Patriot.online. And while I appreciate your prayers, this is a very expensive endeavor. And now that people think elections are okay, people I know right here on this call who I speak to, and myself included, are just basically being choked out, and we're not being funded. People have dropped off, and I need people to hit that donate button at Patriot.online. And I don't care if it's $5, $10, $100, $1,000. But what we need, and I feel like sometimes people they go to church and they don't want to hear about, donations, but without them, all this work is not for naught, but you're choking us out. So Patriot.online, hit the donate button. This is a very expensive endeavor. We're making progress. Litigation works. Thank you for your time, Steve.
You got it. Thank you for coming on. I want to thank Dale Richardson from Canada for streaming us today. Danielle Walker from Louisiana, Jeff Dornick from California, Doug Hagman up in the Midwest. S.G. Annan does a fantastic job. Our next guest is Ned Jones, Deputy Director of the Election Integrity Network. Come on down, Ned.
Hey, Steve. Thank you very much for having me on today. I want to talk about a project that we're working on and all of you can participate in. Actually, Cleta Mitchell, our founder, was supposed to be here today, but she is at the Supreme Court listening to the oral arguments on a very important election case. It's the candidate versus the state of Illinois on the extended period of receiving ballots. Illinois allows 14 days after the election, and so this case has worked its way to the Supreme Court. And they did record the live stream if anybody's interested. The project we're working on starts with President Trump's executive order that he signed in March on election integrity. One of the issues was directing the Election Assistance Commission to add proof of citizenship to their mail voter registration form. This is the form that must be accepted by every state that anyone can use to register to vote. And all you do is check a box and sign your name that you're a citizen. There's no requirement for proof of citizenship. Well, President Trump gave the EAC a deadline to do that, and of course, nothing happened. So American First Legal filed a petition with the EAC to get them to do it. And part of the process for that is public comments on the Federal Registry. So right now, we're in that public comment period. I'm going to put a link in the chat to the comment page so that all of you can go in and make a comment, a positive comment about why we should have proof of citizenship when we register individuals to vote. As Gary pointed out just a few minutes ago, very few states require proof of citizenship. Actually, we think it's only one, and then a couple of them very vaguely. So this is important. It's very important that only citizens vote in our election. And this requirement, proof of citizenship, when they use this form, would change the way things are now. Here's what's happened with the comments. They started on August 21, and we were bumping along 1,000 a day, getting our people to make comments. All of them, 99% of them, were positive. And then Mark Elias wrote an article about the comments, directing the left to start making negative comments. An organization called Indivisible, which led the Tesla takedown, and I sit in on their trainings every week, is really pushing their members to make comments against proof of citizenship. And so last Thursday night, in one day, we went from 15,000 comments to 243,000 comments. People familiar with this process say they've never seen anything like it. This is the Federal Register. These are public comments, and they got 243,000 in one day. Now, because of the government shutdown, they're not posting these comments. So we don't know if it's patriots who are in favor of proof of citizenship or the left with some kind of a mass program. We need help. So any of you, anybody in your organization, it's a very simple process. You just go to the website. I'm going to put a link in the chat. You make a simple comment. I'm in favor of the petition that was filed by AFL to require proof of citizenship when anybody registers to vote. You must be a citizen. Now, here's what happens. If there's enough public pressure in favor of this, it will force the EAC to do something. It'll also start legal action to get it done. And if it were to ever happen that this form requires proof of citizenship that must be accepted by every state, we would start to see the states requiring it in their own voter registration systems. Why is this important? You know, the honor system used to work in this country, but the culture has changed so much it doesn't work anymore. And when you have, I'll use President Trump's number, 20 million illegals in the country, and no one knows how many of them have already registered to vote, because all you do is check a box and sign your name, and anybody can do that for anybody. And we all know that voting by mail is a fraud. Anybody can get a ballot. Anybody can submit a ballot. So you see the problem. We have to get to a point where proof of citizenship is required to register to vote. There's something floating around called the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act has been passed by the House 2 years in a row. It does require proof of citizenship, but it's dead in the Senate. So it has to happen at the state level, and it has to start with this change at the EAC. And that's how we do it. We all file a comment, multiple comments. I noticed in the chat, and somebody's probably right, that somebody used a bot or AI to create these 243,000 comments, a record, they say, on the website for the Federal Register. And we don't know, and we won't know until the shutdown ends, if they're for or against. I have a sinking feeling that they're against, based on the shenanigans by the left, led by Mark Elias and others. But I urge you all to do it. The link is going to be in the chat now. Encourage your members of your organizations to do it, anybody you know. And we just need to jack up the positive comments as best we can. And Steve, thank you very much for having us on the call today.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Next up, we have a gentleman who the organization I try to get on for the last 3 years. And until this gentleman became the president, we weren't able to get him on. So we are going to introduce Stefano Forte, who is the president of the YRs of New York City, the oldest YR organization. YR stands for Young Republicans, and it's one of the strongest I've seen. They have almost 2,000 members. Stefano, you want to come down?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
You can.
Steve, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real honor to talk to you guys about the New York Young Republican Club. This is a storied institution. We've been around for quite a long time. Our presidents date all the way back to 1911. That's when the current iteration of the New York Young Republican Club was put together. Before that, it was the Young Men's Republican Club. And before that, it was a name that is escaping me currently. But the New York Young Republican Club has been doing incredible things in New York. We're the largest Republican club, young Republican club in the country, with almost 2,000 members. And we're not just doing social events. We're not just doing things in order to get young conservatives together to grab a drink. We're doing real serious campaign work. We sent over 100 people to Bucks County last cycle for President Trump to knock on doors. This cycle, we have been going out for our city council candidates to help get them elected in their districts. And we have truly propped ourselves up to be a parallel structure to the party here in New York. We have taken the energy from these young conservatives and harnessed it into very serious deployments. So, for example, last cycle, we went 4 for 4 in our primary elections. We went undefeated. And the point of this club is not to just endorse every candidate that comes our way. The point of this club is to seriously pick our spots, know where we could do the most damage, and go and knock on as many doors as humanly possible. Our campaigns chair deserves a very big shout out for that, Mario Nicoletto, who I think might be on the call today. If not, I'd love to get him on board and talk to you guys as well, because he has a lot of really great stuff. And from what we're looking at now, I think somebody might not be on mute. Ned, I think you might be still speaking.
Raj, you want to mute everybody and then unmute a couple of people?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Stefano. Ned is
Go ahead, Stefano.
Great. So, we, like I said, 4 for 4 in our primaries last cycle. And one of them is the most interesting that I'll talk to you guys about. We had endorsed a candidate who was running against the county chair in Brooklyn for city council. This was I don't want to call him a long shot candidate, but a candidate that we felt required a lot of work to get through. He ended up winning on election day. Our candidate ended up winning on election day by 30 votes. It was astounding. It was a great victory. And again, like I said, he was running up against the county chairman in Brooklyn. It goes to the Board of Elections. And before you know it, absentee ballots are coming in, ballots that they didn't count on election day is coming in. Then all of a sudden, he's up by 9 votes, not 30 votes, and he's in recount territory. It was a very strange series of events for us to get to that moment. So now I'm thinking, I've seen this story before. We've got to lawyer up, and that's exactly what we did. And we went to a recount. At the recount, our candidate is still up by the 9 votes. He looks like he's winning until at a certain point, we start hearing that there are 20 ballots nobody has ever heard of. Nobody had ever seen before. They were never counted, tabulated, nothing. 20 ballots out of complete thin air. It wasn't long before the New York Post And surprisingly, the New York Times reported on the ballot fraud in this case, in this Republican primary. I urge you all to look up this case and to look up the reporting, the New York Times and the New York Post. This is one of the few times I'll ever direct anybody to the New York Times, but it is a very interesting story. And at the end of it, the Board of Elections came out and put out a press release and said that they have no idea where these 20 votes came from and they will not be counting those 20 votes. And our candidate ended up winning. And he is now officially the Republican nominee for city council in Southern Brooklyn. But it was very interesting to see these ballots. I was at the ballot counting process. There was a certain point where there were ballots on printer paper. And I look at one of the people who are counting the votes and I said, well, what happened to these? And they said, well, the machine, when the machine took it in, it ripped it up. So we got a picture of it, and that's what we're counting here. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like you're doing the right thing. But it's an incredible journey that I've been on to become president of this organization. Our gala is coming up. President Trump spoke at our gala 2 years ago. So this is a storied and great institution. And I appreciate, Steve, you taking the time and allowing me to speak here today.
So how do people reach out to the YRs if they want to belong, if they're listening in New York or if they're listening anywhere?
Yes. So you could go on our website, www.nyyrc.com. You can go and you can see our webpage, and you could go and you could see the join button on there. And yeah, we've done a lot of really amazing stuff here in New York, and it's just getting started.
What would you recommend other people around the country? How can they start YR organizations?
You know, our organization has been around for a very long time. Unfortunately, when it comes to young Republican politics, oftentimes you need to talk to your county chairman in order to get them started. Which is sometimes it could be a difficulty. My recommendation is, if you have the opportunity to have a good relationship with the county chairman, because not all county chairmen are awful. We have a great relationship with some of them here in New York, some more than others. I would go to the county chair and see if they would be willing to start a Young Republicans. Go online, because there may be a Young Republicans in your area already. But my best advice would be, if you're coming across obstacles, if there's brick walls put in front of your face, if people don't want you to do this within the establishment party structure, I say you tear right through that wall. Do it yourself. They can't do anything to you. Go start a Young Republican group if there isn't one already. And if there is, try to get involved.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thanks for taking up, I know you are a busy guy, so thanks for coming on. Raj, you got it. Raj, couple of things. Our next election security thing is going to be in about 3 weeks. And also, we're going to be doing it for New Jersey. Now, the reason we're doing it for New Jersey is there's a big election up there. It's probably tied at this point, from what I could see, for governor. That's going to be one of the most important elections that we can have. So we're going to try to get some terrific people. So if anybody's listening from New Jersey and they have some great people, let me know. It's going to be somewhere around the 28th. We need a few weeks to relax. My assistant's going on vacation. One of my key guys may need an operation. So we're going to take a little time. Raj, before we get our next guest on, who is going to be taped, because Andy Mangione from AMAC had an emergency, and he this morning he taped his segment. So Raj, you want to come on and say a few words? Raj is the co-host here. He's up in Rhode Island, working hard for one of the candidates up there. Go ahead, Raj.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Steve. So a couple of things here, friends, before I make my comments. I just want to put this on the screen here. So hopefully, and I know connection might not be super great, so hopefully you can see on the screen.
And we can see it well. We can see it well.
Good. So guys, this is the info we just heard about a few minutes ago from Apollo regarding Tina Peters. So what I'm asking everyone is make the call to the governor. That's what Steve put up, and you'll put that number up in a minute. But also contact this guy. This is a young man you saw earlier. The reason I'm doing that is do everything you can to get Apollo on any of your podcasts that you're listening to. So whatever podcasts you're listening to in your local area, please get Apollo on those podcasts. We have to create a outcry of massive proportions in order to rectify this injustice. So that's Tina Peters here. Take a picture of the screen. That's what I'm putting on the screen. Take a picture of the screen. Get your phone on. Here's his X handle. Here's his email address. So please do that. So that's number one. Number two, you guys all know Greg Stenstrom. He's been with us for a long time. Please take the action and contact him. His organization needs to get our dollars. Bottom line, needs to get our dollars. He's doing stuff that we can't do. So we need to do what we can do, and that is get dollars to him. His website is patriot.online. Patriot.online. You can see that on the screen. Click the donate button. So please, please, please make that happen. In fact, actually, I'm going to stop right there, Steve. And if you want, let me stop my share. And Steve, right before we bring the next speaker on via tape, could you put the number on for the governor as well, like you had before? Just put the number on for the governor. And there it is right there. Take a picture of that. Take a picture of that. I know you guys are doing work. What I'm asking you now is to recruit other people to get things done. So we've got to have massive, massive numbers. So thank you for that, Steve. And with that, Steve, shall I go ahead and play the tape?
Yeah, one other thing, we want to make sure everybody goes to Stern American Rumble to see the back ones, and this will be live here as soon as we close off around 4:40. It'll be live for that. There's over, from what I could see from all the people reporting, close to 4 million people on this now. It's gotten worldwide attention, but we need people to comment. Go to stern1054gmail.com. I'll put that up. Also, Raj, put your email up to get a hold of you because you send out thousands and thousands of emails as well as us. Right before we went on, we sent out 26,000 emails. So we're constantly sending out emails. In Virginia alone, I sent out 10,000 emails. We are now getting a larger and larger audience. I have contacted every chair of the Republican Party in every state. They know about it. They know what's going on. A lot of them said, hey, we didn't know this was happening. So we're getting more and more people, but we need all your input. We need suggestions. We just don't do this just to do it. We do it because we want you to be happy. We want you to understand what's going on. We want everybody that's listening to get something out of this. And that's what's important. So don't feel bad about criticizing or complimenting us. We try to do the best that we can. This takes a lot of effort on Raj, myself, my whole staff. It takes a lot of time to put this on, a lot of time to go right on the button. We pretty much went right on the button. So go ahead, Raj. You want to give them your email address to get a hold of us?
Yes, it's support@defendflorida.org. It's in the text thread, the chat over here on Zoom, support@defendflorida.org. Also on the screen is going to be Stern American. So you just heard Steve talk about it. Here it is, sternamerican.com, sternamerican.com. So what we want you to do, there's a bunch of resources here, right? Information here, put your email here. Also, go over here to Rumble. I like to use the Rumble one. You can use any of these, but I like the Rumble one. And when I go to Rumble, you can see here all of the recordings. Okay, all of the recordings here. 20,000. This is just on Rumble, not counting the rebroadcasters. This is the election precinct strategy call over here. If you click on live, you get all of these calls here. These are where some of these calls are being streamed from. So please, obviously, you guys know what happened here, but take this and post it in your Signal group, in your Telegram group, Facebook group. Get more people to be exposed to this information. All right, thank you for that. And let's go ahead and bring on our next speaker via video. And here we go.
Thank you very much. I'm Andy Mangione with AMAC Action. We are the C4 lobbying arm of the Association of Mature American Citizens. We are the conservative alternative to AARP with over 2 million members in all 50 states. So I'm Senior Vice President for AMAC Action. I represent the membership in Washington, D.C. and in states throughout the country. We are the fighters, the pugilists, if you will. We run a lot of call to action campaigns, and our members are very, very adept at participating in our campaigns. And right now, we're running a campaign that I'm sure it's been mentioned, on this call before. But the Election Assistance Commission, which is an organization that kind of flies under the radar, but it's a bipartisan commission whose mission is to help election officials improve the administration of elections and help Americans participate in the voting process. They recently opened a website to take comments from the public on regulations.gov, to take comments from the public on a potential rule change. They're responding to a petition from America First Legal that is asking the EAC. So they're seeking public comments on a rule change that would require documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. This is the crux of the America First Legal petition. They want the Election Assistance Commission to change the rule that would require documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. So the National Voter Registration Act grants the EAC this authority to require proof of citizenship. So they are well within their right and well within their jurisdiction to make this important rule change. And here's why we need this rule change. Under current law, voter registration for federal elections relies on the honor system. Applicants just check a box attesting that they are citizens, and this needs to change. And this rule change potentially would change all of that. So like any other federal entity, the EAC has opened up a website seeking comments. AMAC members have responded in great numbers to our campaign. I think we're right around 15,000 or so that have left. Now, our campaign has been shared throughout the Election Integrity Network, and I know some of the folks that are from the EIN are on this call. And we're grateful that that's been spread and shared throughout the country. I believe that there is a link to our campaign in the chat. If it's not, it'll be you will be able to have access to it. It's automated. All you do is you read the campaign description, fill out the required fields, and press send, and your comment will be sent to the EAC website in support of this rule change. I receive a report from our advocacy software platform that shows me everybody that's participated along with the confirmation number. So, to ensure that your comment has hit, and our comments are hitting. So we need to make as big a noise as possible with regard to this rule change. As I mentioned before, the EAC is well within their jurisdiction to make this rule change, but we've got to keep the volume up, the volume of comments supporting the rule change up, and the noise level up. And our campaign is just one way to do it. Comments close for this campaign on October 20th at 11:59 p.m. So between now and then, we need as many people as possible to leave comments, and we want to flood the zone, if you will. And we appreciate you. You can use our campaign, and it's all automated, and we appreciate you taking the time to use it, because every comment counts. Now, AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is an organization that is the conservative alternative to AARP. We've been around since 2007. We were founded by an individual, just a private individual who felt that AARP didn't necessarily represent his values. We are committed to enriching the lives of all Americans by fiercely defending and upholding the inalienable rights enshrined in our Constitution. We provide exceptional benefits and services coupled with trustworthy news and information to deliver unparalleled value to our members, and including AMAC Action, which is the advocacy arm of AMAC. So we've been around for about 17 years. Our founder was just a gentleman who raised 5 kids on Long Island, was in the insurance industry, served 4 years honorably. His name was Dan Weber, and we lost Dan about 5 years ago, but he was a true patriot. And he started AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, from scratch. And fast forward to 2025, we have organically grown this to over 20 million. I'm sorry, to over two. I wish it was 20 million. To over 2 million members in all 50 states. And these are dues paying members. This is not a list of supporters or an email list. These people have paid their dues and have joined us and continue to renew their memberships. So we need every member we can get. We are running a special right now where I think you get 90 days free, to try us out, and then you could join. It's a relatively modest investment to join AMAC. You can go to amac.us and click the join button, and we have a plethora of options with regard to 1-year memberships, 3-year memberships, lifetime memberships, et cetera, et cetera. So just as far as who we are, when you join AMAC, you'll have daily access to our thoughtful and conservative social media posts, our newsline, a chance to engage with lawmakers. We put out a magazine. We have the AMAC Seniors Resources Network, which is a Medicare advisory service. We have a foundation, and within that foundation is the Social Security Advisory Services. We do not sell memberships on that. Anyone can take advantage of that. What the AMAC Foundation Social Security Advisory Service is, it's a source of on-time and on-the-mark guidance for those who are approaching or receiving Social Security. We give that away. It's free. We have nationally accredited Social Security advisors. They provide invaluable advice to help our members understand the risks, benefits, timetables, and how you can get involved with regard to Social Security. We also offer retirement planning and financial advice, and we are constantly building out our member benefits. So it's a very dynamic environment in that we're constantly adding to our robust menu of benefits. You can get the roadside service. You can get all kinds of insurance products, from Medicare to under 65 to life, home, and health, et cetera, motorcycle insurance. There are all kinds of dental plans, in addition to travel discounts. I mentioned roadside assistance, but travel discounts, discounts on restaurants. And again, we're constantly building that out. But we have emerged since 2007 as the voice for American conservative seniors. And it's my privilege to represent the membership in Washington, D.C. and in states throughout the country. As far as AMAC Action goes, we run countless call to action campaigns, very similar to what we're doing now with the Election Assistance Commission. Our members sent 40,000 messages to their federal representatives to help get the One Big Beautiful Bill passed. And we were recognized by the White House for our contribution to that effort. We have a wonderful working relationship with the Trump White House, and which is wonderful. But when it comes to conservative seniors, the administration comes to us with regard to their perspective. So we would love to have anybody on this call. You don't have to be 50. We bill ourselves as a 50+ organization, but we're a large conservative group. We'd love to count you as our members. You can go to amac.us and click the join button, and we'd love to count you among the AMAC Army. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, guys, I'm shocked to hear what I just heard, and maybe there's people over here on the call that knew that. The EAC is taking comment on requiring proof of voter U.S. citizenship. So if he said that the link is in the chat, so if there's anyone on this call from that organization that has a link to this campaign where we can put our public comment, please put that in the link.
Hey, Raj,
I
put it in the chat for you.
Put it in. If you
Thanks, Ned.
don't mind,
Appreciate
Ned, put it back again. Thank you, Ned. Put it back. Now,
You want to let everybody know what it is?
Hyper,
Hang on.
why this
Ned,
is so
can you tell everybody what it is so the people that don't get to the chat can, we have people in the chat, but we have millions all over that don't get to the chat.
Yeah, you can find it. You go to regulation.gov and you search for EAC/AFL petition, and the comment page will come up. It's very simple, like Andy said, and like I said, you just make a very simple comment that you are in favor of the rule change to require proof of citizenship.
What do you search for, Ned? What do you search for?
You're in favor of the rule change.
What you said search for something.
Oh, you search for EAC/AFL petition. And that's on regulation.gov. And I'll put it in the chat again. But like I said earlier, there's 243,000 comments now. And we really have to get as many people as possible involved.
Okay, so I'm on regulations.gov.
Yep.
I typed in EAC/AFL petition.
Yeah. And it should come up.
This is what I got. You can see my screen. We got to make this so simple, guys. I could not believe what I just heard. If we get this done, by we, I mean you and us, if we get this done, this pumps the brakes on all the nonsense that we heard earlier from people allowing folks to vote with their utility bill. This utter nonsense. This pumps the brakes on all of that, but they've got to hear from us. So what I'm requesting is this link, please, your signal groups, your text groups, your Telegram groups, guys, they have got to hear from us. This is so easy to do. If federal elections require proof of citizenship, and that's instituted by the EAC, every state in this union is going to have a very, very hard time. Their compliance with EAC is not optional. This is a massive, massive endeavor. So Ed, let's take another 30 seconds. I'm on regulations.gov. Let me just do it again, because I really need the folks on this call, as well as the people that are watching the recording. I'm on regulations.gov. And tell me what to search for again.
Search for male voter, MAIL space VOTER.
Copy that. Stand by. Okay, this is what I'm seeing.
That's the third one down.
There it is.
Third one down. 1, 2, 3. It says close for comments. The one that he mentioned was open until late October. All right. Well, just to keep this going, we'll try to get this figured out, friends. And we'll go on to the next speaker here.
All right. So our next speaker, but before we do that,
yeah.
See Dr. Corsi on?
Stand by. Looking forward. Let me stop sharing.
So we're going to have Dr. Jerome Corsi, if we can find him, co-founder and CEO of Gods5Stones.com.
Awesome.
Hey,
Dr.
Raj,
Corsi.
I think I was able to share the screen with the sign. This is the page.
Okay, so please, Ed, thank you, Ned. Perfect. Copy that link that you see above in the URL bar. Copy that up further in the URL bar. Copy that and paste that in the chat, please.
Yeah, I did. It's in the chat again. I just did it.
Awesome. You're the man. Thank you. Dr. Corsi, sorry for that. I just couldn't help myself. This is like, wow. This is super huge. So Dr. Corsi, back to you. Come on down.
Well, that's actually a very good segue into what I want to talk about.
Go ahead, Dr. Corsi.
Can you hear me? I'm there.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear him, Roger.
And you should be able to see me. I've got my.
We can see you. We can hear you.
Great. Okay, it's good segue, because what I want to talk about is the same thing. It's last Friday, October 3rd, a Wisconsin judge, Judge Michael Maxwell, issued an order demanding that Wisconsin elections have proof of citizenship. Okay, this is all part of a campaign. So specifically, the judge ordered that the Wisconsin Election Commission and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation had to stop registering illegal aliens to vote. Okay, so this is a direct hit on the motor voter, because what the Wisconsin was doing was letting people come in for getting a driver's license, and you can get a driver's license maybe with a green card, and they automatically register them to vote. Now, the green card does not mean you're a citizen. You can get a driver's license, but that's not citizenship. And so the Wisconsin Election Commission was using the Department of Transportation as the back door to get illegal immigrants the right to vote in Wisconsin, and the judge put an end to it. Now, it was a very strong decision, because it said that the Election Commission in Wisconsin has a plain and positive duty to verify the citizenship of every person seeking to register to vote in Wisconsin, which means whether you're registering electronically or through a paper process, you've got to have proof that you're a citizen, not just a utility bill or a driver's license. They won't do anymore.
Okay, so the nature of this decision, and in fact, I interviewed several of the people who were involved in it. Kevin Scott, who was the attorney for the plaintiffs, he said, they expect that the Wisconsin Election Commission and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation will try to appeal the decision. They are trying to do that. And it says Kevin Scott said it took courage for Judge Maxwell to rule the way he did. The overwhelming tide of judicial decisions on election integrity in Wisconsin has been for judges to decide the laws whatever the Wisconsin Election Commission says the law is, with little or no regard to the plain language of the statutes. Wisconsin in 2024 even passed a constitutional amendment saying you had to be a citizen to vote, but the Wisconsin Election Commission ignored it. So between 2019 and 2023, the Wisconsin Election Commission admitted to issuing 41,000 ID cards to non-citizens and almost 260,000 driver's licenses. And it's assumed that all of those people got the voter registration as well. Now, why this is important is because I want to make sure everybody knows that the White House is working on a second executive order. President Trump issued in March, if you recall, 2025, the executive order preserving and protecting the integrity of the election commissions, in which he mandated this election group, the governmental group, to do what they're doing right now, which is passing a regulation mandating proof of citizenship. And what's happening in the White House is an executive order is being drafted for release, hopefully, this month or next month, which will require voter ID and proof of citizenship. It will to vote. It will demand that the states implement these regulations under criminal penalties. It will demand that we stop using the existing voter rolls, which are filled with algorithms that we've proven on God's Five Stones. If you go to our website, which is GODS, no apostrophe, FIVE, you spell out the word five, and STONES, stones, gods5stones.com. We show you the work of Andrew Paquette that these algorithms are in the state voter registration rolls at the Board of Election level, and they permit the creation of all these millions of false records that yet get legitimate state IDs and can be used in mail-in ballot fraud. Now, I want to point out that I've got information that this guy, Todd Blanche, at the Department of Justice, who's the Deputy Attorney General, is blocking many things. And he represented Donald Trump in the criminal cases in New York when Donald Trump was under the gun between the elections. New York was trying to put Donald Trump in prison. Todd Blanche, who was formerly a Democrat, supported him very strongly in public statements and represented him. But now he's telling Pam Bondi that she can stay at home and work from Miami. He'll run the Department of Justice. He's blocking pardons. We haven't had any pardons since he decided he was Attorney General. Todd, Blanche. He's keeping Tina Peters in prison. He doesn't want any voter IDs. He doesn't want the J6ers compensated. Todd Blanche needs to go. And if Pam Bondi can't do her job, we need a new Attorney General. But the point is, I think Donald Trump is on track to issue the second executive order, which will also limit the general mail-in ballots to going back to the old absentee system, which is tightly controlled, and it will eliminate the machines in voting. So this is all expected to come down the next couple of months and to be implemented for the 2026 elections. And Donald Trump considers this to be a matter of national security, as powers under Article 2 Commander-in-Chief, and with the National Guard and the military increasingly going into the cities. I think we're getting ready for a very strong executive order that I'm briefed is going to happen. We get some of these legacy employees in the Department of Justice gone or blocking President Trump's agenda. And we're seeing more coming out about that today with this memo, in which we now know that 8 sitting senators were under surveillance by the Department of Justice under Christopher Wray. So We still have to get rid of thousands of workers in the Department of Justice that are anti-Trump. Todd Blanche is at the top of my list. But the point is, this Wisconsin decision, I think, is going in the right direction, and I'm confident that we're going to get a second executive order, and the states are going to be mandated in 2026 to have only citizens vote. If we do that, I think the Democrats will lose massively, because the Democrats are down to the point where they can only win elections by stealing them. And the Democrats intend to steal elections to get control of Congress in 2026. If we have that happen, we'll have President Trump last 2 years of his second term being faced with constant impeachments, blockages, everything that can be done to prevent him from enforcing the MAGA agenda, which I think America desperately needs. So I want to give this update and have everybody pay attention to this law, this new decision that was made in the case in the state of Wisconsin. Okay, and my article, I'm going to be having an article on this that could be appearing in American Thinker even tomorrow. Certainly this week, the article is being reviewed today, and it'll be a comprehensive statement of what's going on in Wisconsin. By the way, the voter integrity groups in Wisconsin are working directly with the White House on this. So when you read this decision in Wisconsin, you can know that Department of Justice internally, Department of Homeland Security, and the White House election integrity groups are all working in this direction. And I think you're going to see a campaign starting in the next few months where more and more truth is going to be coming out about how the Department of Justice was weaponized under Obama and Biden, how the elections were intentionally defrauded by the Democrats, and how crimes were committed that are massive. I think these only citizen voting is going to be the theme approaching 2026 midterm elections. And so I encourage everybody to get behind this. I really support the previous discussion about government, going to government regulation, and supporting this new order that is coming down. If you go to CorseyNation.com and God's Five Stones, there's a lot of information on God's Five Stones on election integrity, and we're raising additional funds to be able to carry this all the way through to completion. But I think this EAC action is a direct result of Donald Trump's first steps, evident in court cases now in Wisconsin, to press the agenda, and judges are beginning to go along with Donald Trump on the issue. But as under the powers of commander-in-chief, I think we'd have a national security emergency, and Donald Trump could make sure that these provisions for getting rid of the machines, getting rid of the general mail-in balloting, demanding voter ID and proof of citizenship, I think Donald Trump's headed in the direction to making sure this happens. So I'm very encouraged right now, but the White House needs our support. And I encourage everybody to go to this EAC/AFL comments page and make sure that this regulation requiring citizenship voting only is supported. So that's my report today, and I appreciate the time, and thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much. I would like to say something that yesterday I got a call from the chief of staff from Senator Scott's office, and our discussion was after I texted Senator Scott over the weekend to get more senators involved with this group here so we can get some of the senators on to say what's happening in the Senate, because the House seems to be great on election security. But when you bring it over to the Senate, where we control, we got some rhinos in there that are just not putting it through. So I will keep you guys updated on that. Dr. Karis will keep us updated when that EO or when we think it's going on. We also want to thank John Goodman for helping you. I know he went and spent 9 hours on.
John Goodman's been a great help. I appreciate his emails.
And Peter Tickton and General Flynn and whoever else has helped you. We're glad to help you. Also, I want to thank one of my good friends, Tina Celine from California, brings all the California people on. Stephen Rosenbaum, one of my good friends, brings a lot of people on from where he is. Dr. Lynn Lafferty really helps us in all the medical field. Thank you very much. So we have our last guest, Chris Marston. who is the general counsel for the Republican Party of Virginia. We got him.
And right, yes, and right before Chris comes, guys, we just heard something dramatic from Mr. Corsi here. What I'm referring to specifically is what he said about Todd Blanche. I'm hearing what he said from other credible sources also. What I'm hearing is Mr. Blanche is almost unilaterally responsible for the lack of action on Tina Peters. I'm hearing that he is trying to co-opt Pam Bondi's role. And also we just heard that he is working to mitigate the efforts of documentation of people before they register to vote. And so why am I you just heard that? I'm underscoring that because I'm requesting you on any of your social media channels, please start drawing attention to the role of Mr. Todd Blanche. The reason these individuals do what they do is because they are able to do so in obscurity. Your role and my role is to shed light, be the light, shed light on what he is doing, what he is blocking, and that is the start of bringing accountability. So important. I'm so grateful, Dr. Corsi, for your comments on that. Thanks for that brief interruption. And before we wind up,
And by the way, just if I can, it's TODD BLANCHE.
One more time.
TODD Todd BLANCHE, and he's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche BLANCHE. You can look him up easily on the internet. He was a lawyer who defended Trump during the trials in New York, but he has been a Democrat, just recently became a Republican, and has gotten close to Trump, as you know, insider, saying all the things Trump might want to hear.
Yeah.
But in effect, he's the reason Tina Peters is still in prison. And if the J6ers aren't getting compensation, we've had no more pardons since he's taken over. And he's told Pam Bondi to go back to Miami and just do press conferences.
So you heard it there again. Thank you, Dr. Corsi, for bringing that. Important that you take action on it. Thank you for underscoring that. And Chris, thank you for patience. Thanks for waiting. Over to you, sir. Go ahead, please, Chris.
Thanks so much, Steve and Raj. I appreciate you having me on. And this is just such a great thing that you put these shows on and we hear from all these people about the great work going on around the country. I'm so thankful that it's going on. But next year at this time, you're going to be in the same place I am, which is staring down the barrel of an election coming in 30 days with rules that are already fixed. So I'm responsible for election integrity operations on the legal side and have a great team on the operational side here in Virginia. So we're working on things like making sure that we're at logic and actually testing in every city and county in the state, that we go to pre-processing meetings for absentee ballots, that we're watching all 45 days of early voting, that we're watching on election day, and that we have coverage in our post-election canvases and our risk limiting audit. So it's quite a marathon of activities. I'm so grateful to have some great volunteer attorneys that work with me. If any of you have folks that would be interested in helping our efforts, I think earlier Brian Swenson told you protectthevote.com is the place to go sign up, whether it's to help us in Virginia or in your state next year. Getting yourself on that list and connected with the RNC is the way to get involved in these direct on the ground efforts. And again, I don't want to minimize the great work you're doing at a policy level and nationally. But remember, when we get to brass tacks and there's an election coming up, we can use you on the ground as well. So I hope you'll get engaged in that. You also heard earlier from Lynn Taylor, my good friend from the Virginia Institute for Public Policy. She told you a little bit about the disaster that we had when Democrats had a trifecta and passed 60 election bills that made everything about our election code worse. We're fortunate that Governor Youngkin was elected after that, ending the trifecta, and he has had some great success with executive orders here in Virginia. Most importantly, over the course of 3 executive orders, he's done a lot to improve our process of voter list maintenance. And the most significant thing, which is also taking advantage of the new Trump DHS, is we've removed non-citizens from the rolls. We know we don't have them all, but we've gotten 10,000 off of our rolls in Virginia since Governor Youngkin was inaugurated. And most recently, this last year, we did almost 5,000 of them. And that's because of the great work we've been able to rely on from the Department of Homeland Security, which in the past would just say no when we asked for citizen information. But now that President Trump's in charge, we're blessed to actually get real data from them. So Ken, I see your note. It's not just those who self-reported. We've actually found some who haven't. It's not just if they show up at the DMV the next time and say they're not a citizen. So there's certainly more work to be done. I'll never deny that. And having the great work that you're all doing to work on only citizen voting is going to be important. But I'm pleased we've been able to make progress in the current system. So I just wanted to share that news with you that Virginia, we're in the trenches and could use your help if you're available to help this election, and that I know you'll all be engaged at the ground level in addition to the national policy level next year. I do want to just share one tidbit in going. If you haven't seen the coverage of Jay Jones, the Democrat candidate for Attorney General in Virginia, I encourage you to go to jjonestexts.com. I've put that in the link. It's shocking to see a Democrat say the quiet part out loud, that they really do believe that violence is the solution to changing public policy. He includes threats to our former Speaker of the House and his children and his wife. It's just remarkable. And he said these things to a Republican legislator in text messages after she'd asked him to stop. The incredible lack of judgment is almost as shocking as the belief that violence is a way to change public policy. So if you need a good read, check out jjonestexts.com or any of the coverage on that scandal. Steve, Raj, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful for all of your many followers and the great work you're doing.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. I want to thank also Robin Sachs up in Maryland, who puts this on X, and many, many people. We're just looking where we're seeing people. SG Annan gets about 12, 13,000. We have 13,000 on Stern American, and it's popping up. We will rebroadcast this thing continuously. Want to thank everybody for coming on. Raj, you have some last words. We'll have New Jersey in a couple of weeks. We want to thank YourNews.com, who they don't have an idea how many people they come on, along with TotalNews.com, but they get thousands of people on this thing, but they have no way of clocking it. We have a lot of people that don't have a way to clock it, so we don't really bring it on. We want to thank Joe DeBox. First time he's broadcasting today. We'll have to ask him how many people came on. Again, thanks everybody. This takes a tremendous amount of effort from my assistants. I want to thank, but we really want your input. So stern1054@gmail.com. Please send emails. We really want criticism. We want to hear from everybody. We want to know who they'd like to hear on. We try to bring as many people on. We haven't turned anybody down. So we're happy to have everybody on. Raj, you want to get a couple of last words?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, fantastic call today. Thank you for the speakers that were here. As a reminder, and especially for those that are watching this on the replay, watching this through our podcasters, take a picture of this page here. What is this? This is how you can send this to people in your Facebook, Telegram, Signal, text messages. Send this link out. What is this link? This is a link where for the next, I think, 2 weeks, not more than that, 2 weeks, we can let the EAC know, which is a governing body on elections nationwide, that their openness to consider requiring documentation of U.S. citizenship is a good thing. Very, very important. Share that out. Next one, take a picture of this. Tina Peters, please get Apollo, we heard on this program, with every podcaster that you know. Please do that. Tina Peters in jail, just Frost. Anyway, next one, Gregory Senstrom, please get information out to him. Here's his contact information. He's doing important work that we cannot do. Please support him financially. And lastly, big revelation on this call here. You just heard it. This is a gentleman here that we are hearing from multiple people, not just Dr. Corsi, that this gentleman here is blocking efforts to release Tina Peters. Who is he? He is the Deputy United States Attorney General. There you go. United States Deputy General. What? Please shed light on what he is doing using social media. People get away with this stuff because they're obscure. They're doing it in the shadows. But when you shed light, that's why Jesus said, be the light. When you shed light, that is the countermeasure. So please, please do that. You'll be getting information from us about the next call. Coming soon, as Steve said, thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing the information about you heard online today. And again, how to get the how to get the replay of this show. Just go to sternamerican.com, click the Rumble link. Go to sternamerican.com, click the Rumble link. All right, my friends, thank you. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for everyone being here. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.